What do you see in a fighter? His strength.
Yeah, he did. Looking for the, oh my!
His anger. His swagger.
John Jones, get your together. I'm waiting for you.
Daniel Cormier was born in Lafayette, Louisiana. Though he excelled in numerous sports, his true love was wrestling.
Once I found wrestling though, man, that was it. On the wrestling mat, however hard I worked, I would see the success.
Success on the sports field masked a series of losses off of it, where in the span of a year, Cormier lost both a cousin and a teammate in separate auto accidents.
Looking back on it now as an adult, I can understand the emotion that I was going through more than I did then. Because then you're young, you're angry, you're mad. You know, it's like, in reality, we probably should have took some time to mourn and figure out what was going on, understand our emotions.
Those emotions fueled Cormier and led him to a wrestling scholarship at Oklahoma State. There he met Daniel Lawson, and the two instantly became friends.
Dan was on the basketball team, and we would always hang out. Like, I always hung out with the basketball players because they had personality, and that was me. And we just became great friends.
Then, in the summer of 2001, tragedy once again struck Cormier's life.
911.
I think an airplane crashed across the road in the pasture from my house.
With this bulletin, one of 3 planes returning the Oklahoma State University basketball team and its staff has not returned after a game against Colorado tonight.
There were 2 student athletes, Oklahoma State student athletes, Dan Lawson and Nate Fleming.
We didn't know what was going on until we got home and landed. And they told us that 10 people had been lost in the plane crash. It was sad, man. It was very sad. My mom is like very, very religious. She always tried to instill belief that God has a plan. So I would try to stick to that as much as possible.
That plan changed greatly for Cormier when he became a father to a baby girl named Kaden.
I just was so happy. You know, I was like, I couldn't believe it. I couldn't comprehend that I was actually having a kid. And Kaden would cry, and she would cry, and she would cry. So I would take her in the back of my car, and put her in her car seat, and put on Heather Headley, I Wish I Wasn't. And we would drive around, and it always soothed her. On
a warm summer day in Texas, just 3 months after Kaden was born, Cormier got the worst call of his life.
I was at my apartment. We were having a barbecue. My phone rang, and it was Carolyn, and she was hysterical. I can't get in touch with my friend. I don't know what's going on. So I called the highway patrol. I asked if there had been any accidents, and they called me back and told me that there was an accident, and that Kaden was the only fatality.
An 18-wheeler struck the car Kaden rode in from behind, killing her instantly.
There's nothing like it. You just feel like nothing matters anymore. At that point, you start to question why. Why does this stuff keep happening to me? Why don't I deserve to be completely happy? And I was just in a house in a room. I put black curtains up, stayed in the room for a month, crying, sad. Finally, Coach Smith called me and he said, Daniel, you know, there's nothing I can do to make you feel better. He goes, but at the end of the day, the one thing that you can rely on, that you've always relied on, is this sport. Let it try and help you get through this and start trying to honor your daughter through your goals.
Cormier achieved one of those goals when he was named to the U.S. Olympic wrestling team. After finishing 4th in the 2004 Games, Cormier had his sights set on gold in 2008. But the day before his competition, Cormier's body betrayed him.
So my kidneys started to shut down. They were working at like 20%. The day of the event, I actually said, hey, I want to go wrestle. And I tried to get out of the bed, and the lady from the UFSOC was like, Daniel, there's no way you could wrestle. What if something happens? And they wouldn't allow me to.
Caused by an improper weight cut, Cormier's kidney failure would put an end to his wrestling career. It gave birth, however, to a new career in mixed martial arts.
The jab from Cormier. Down goes Silva.
Cormier steamrolled through the MMA ranks, with Kaden never being far from his thoughts.
I have an angel that sits on the top of the octagon when I fight. She's never going anywhere. You know, she's always on my mind.
More than any opponent in the octagon, Cormier's toughest battle was the fear of once again starting a family.
When we had little Daniel, Selena and I were leaving the hospital, and we listened to the radio. And out of nowhere, on the radio, Heather Headley, I Wish I Wasn't. 8 years later. Songs don't stay in rotation for 8 years. That was Caden saying, it's gonna be okay, you guys are fine. It's okay. And I think in that moment, we both started crying.
What do you see in a fighter? For Cormier, it's what you don't see that defines him. His pain, his heartache, everything that he's lost. But it's those things that put it all in perspective.
I know that regardless of what I'm dealing with, pales in comparison to some of the things that I've had to experience in the course of my life. It's a fight, it's a competition. What's the worst that could happen? I lose? I'll take that all day. As long as I have my kids and my family to go home to, I'm good.